Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice HCV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs, motorcycles, the dogs, the kid. There's a Ice HCV sticker. That isn't the one I mailed to you, but I got stickers. Where's the other Ice HCV stickers on my cars? I'm not doing a good job in that, am I? Is my wife ashamed to put it on her car? I don't know. Hey, it's Monday morning. Thanks for tuning in my channel. Appreciate all the support. Nice viewers. And wow, it's Monday morning and the season has changed on us. Look at the fall colors. Just wow. It just seems like overnight the trees have gotten their change, and a lot of trees have lost their leaves. And you would be thinking, yeah, you're a colorful guy today in your Harley outfit there. Is this Halloween? I mean, tomorrow's Halloween, but what's said about Harley Davidson? Was that like a Halloween fan? I don't know, Mr. Davidson. Did you like Halloween? What are the colors all about, right? So, yeah, I'm all dressed up in my Harley Davidson theme today. As we walk over to the barn and try to get the dogs over here. Come on, pups. You know, it's interesting. I saw a video over the weekend of a guy, real nice guy, very professional in how he represents and talks about things. And he was presenting a product that he claims he doesn't earn any commission off of, a transponder, your fob, your key fob, a pouch that you buy that makes it so people can't pick up a wave, the radio frequencies out of your key fob, because he claims his Toyota pickup truck got stolen right in front of his driveway by somebody emitting that radio signal, and apparently these fobs emit a radio signal all the time. And so he's promoting his product that says that if you put this fob in this little pouch, it doesn't pick up the radio frequency, but you got to take the fob out at the last second to get in your car. And so anyways, I thought to myself, if somebody tried to get radio frequencies out of my property, wouldn't that be challenging? I mean, think about all different brands of cars I have, the different models, and how many fobs do I have when you get 2 fobs per car? I would think it'd be challenging for a person to, I have no idea. I mean, whatever. If somebody makes them steal the cars, it's all insured. Come on, come get them, whatever. Insurance company pay me for them, whatever. I mean, you know, people, they're like, no, yes. So you heard the word of the brands, the multi-brand. So I thought to myself this morning, my dogs are getting away from me. Get over here. Come on back in the barn. I thought to myself this morning, a guy named R. Sanchez, one of my regular viewers, subscribers, he's always giving his 2 cents, which I enjoy that. And he kind of brought something up that made me think of my conversation today. So this is for Mr. Sanchez again. He got the on-off conversation. Today's going to be the multi-brand conversation. Come on, Ginger, where are you? Jeez. And I thought, boy, if that isn't so appropriate to who I am, look around. You see I have Ford here, right? I've got Jeep here. I've got Ram here. I've got the Dodge. Hey, little girls in here. The Dodge in here. If you go to the motorcycles, I've got a new KTM dirt bike over here. If you go to the trailers, if we were to go inside these trailers, you'd see Honda motorcycles in there. You'd see Indian motorcycles in there. You'd see Harley Davidson motorcycles. And if you come in here is a Triumph motorcycle. Get the light on here for us. So if I'm not the multi-brand guy, I mean, I'm the multi-brand guy. I've had Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, I've had Toyota vehicles, Honda vehicles. I'm just thinking off the tip. I've had Jaguar, I've had Land Rover. So come on, pups, let's get you guys to the office. So in so many aspects, I am the multi-brand guy. And I thought that would be a great conversation today, because we live in a society more than ever where there's so many different brands of products and things. And what drives us to one brand over another brand? The one we eating cherries inside the house, begging for breakfast food. So let's get the lights on here in the shop, get the Monday morning going, the work week, getting the week going. Oh my goodness. So anyways, and what brought that conversation up? Well, what brought that conversation up was the Indian Pursuit is still not home. Indian Pursuit that I truly believed would be resolved Saturday, because I went to the dealership on Friday or Thursday. Went to the dealership on Thursday, and the goal was to work on a Thursday afternoon. They didn't get to it Thursday afternoon. So then the goal was to work on a Friday, which they did. So then the goal was to get it back together by Friday and ride it. And they didn't. And then the goal was to work on a Saturday, and I never heard from them. And I never even called them. And I worked all weekend long. I worked Saturday, and not a real long day Saturday. It was. A lot of driving. 225-mile day. And then I worked yesterday. Long day yesterday. I'm amazed I even got back in after driving 150 miles that I rode another 100-plus miles on my motorcycles. So the Indian Pursuit kind of brought up this morning's conversation, because the R. Sanchez gentleman has been following my channel, because he's been on the page thinking that maybe he's going to buy an Indian Pursuit. And now, after watching my channel, he's come to closure. There ain't no way in hell he's going to buy Indian Pursuit, because he's seen the way the Indian dealer deals with problems. Because I have an Indian Pursuit that I think has been sitting down at that dealership now for at least 6 weeks. At least. I don't even know. Has it been 2 months? And the process of figuring out what's wrong with this motorcycle is taking forever. And so for me, pointing that this is playing out in my life with the Indian brand, because I've been such an Indian guy. So, but here, kind of the Dodge Plum Crazy Super B. This thing is so much fun. This car is so much fun. I mean, I'm a guy that likes to get going down the road. I mean, I do move down the road. And there's no doubt, this here is the more potent car, because it's got the bigger setup, where this is an 800 horsepower setup, and this car over here is a 485. But this thing just gets down the road. And in the Beltway and the roads anymore, it's incredible how fast. Saying where we are in today's society, especially in this DC metro area, Baltimore. I mean, people go 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. I mean, all day long. I mean, if you ride the roads like I do, it's 80 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour. It's 100-mile-an-hour hits. I mean, so for me this morning, I rode around this car, and I had a lot of fun with this car. And I just thought I'd share with you here. You can go to all these different settings in these cars, and it shows you what you've done. Okay? So right there is the, I'll turn off the little dinging bell here. Right there is what I've hit. All right? I mean, just crazy. Now, what's pretty cool about this also is I can go in here and I can do my 0 to 60 time. So I can't wait to do that. But I haven't tried that. It's showing 5.3, but I haven't done that. And let's see here. Does it show the quarter mile, eighth mile? But see, I haven't done actual real race. So where these numbers are coming from, I don't even know. But anyways, this thing is so much fun. I mean, this car, turn that off. It's just a blast. This thing gets you in trouble. That's the thing. And that's one thing about these Hellcats. I don't drive them a lot because you get yourself in trouble. I mean, I just can't emphasize enough that these cars are so fast. This bike here, this motorcycle here, it just hums at 80 miles an hour. I mean, this thing takes nothing to go 80 miles an hour. So for me, going back to Mr. Sanchez, the multi-brand, conversation came to be because I thought about how the Indian dealers typically are multi-brand dealers, and that's something where I think Harley Davidson has done a better job. And it's challenging, but Harley Davidson has such the heritage of so many motorcycles in the marketplace where they can be a standalone Harley dealer. It isn't per se easy for all of them, but the Harley Davidson is just now one brand and one brand only. The multi-brand dealerships, as you know, you go into an Indian dealer, the odds are they're a BMW dealer or the Triumph dealer or they're a Yamaha Honda dealer. I mean, they can be lots. They can be the Polaris brand products. So attention to detail for the Indian product in the back end, I think, is a little more challenging for the service end and the mechanics, because they're working on so many different motorcycles. The Harley dealer, it is all about a Harley mechanic who works on the same bike over and over and over again. And these bikes have been out in the market so long, they kind of know what they're going into and how to work on them. The Indian brand, you got a guy that maybe he's putting together BMWs every day that's now working on an Indian. And the Indian product isn't a big mover in most of these multi-brand dealerships. I mean, I know for a fact that the dealership Motorcycles of Dulles, their number one selling product's Triumph. BMW, Indian's a very small percentage of their sales. So for the mechanics in the back end, they're not getting a lot of exposure to having to evaluate and fix these motorcycles. Versus the the Harley brand, you have really a better infrastructure of the whole service end and mechanic side of the business. I'll tell you what, the daughter and I, yesterday, get back in, and it was kind of getting late, but for me, I'll tell you, my front lens here is really dirty. So I clean that off a little bit because it's kind of showing up this morning. We got in late, but we decided to ride the motorcycles yesterday, and for me, I was blown away when I got on this motorcycle yesterday, and even for me, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that this motorcycle only had like 332 miles or something like that on it. Okay, or like 300 miles. So now it's 439 miles. So we did about a 100-mile ride on this motorcycle. One thing I don't like about this new CVO is the bike's either on or if it's off. I don't like that. This bike should have two accessories. One should be to power the bike on. Another one should be to start it. I don't know why Harley did that, because what happens is, yesterday, it's the same old story. You turn on the bike and you get your phone to pair with the bike. You listen to music through the speaker system. Great. You go to the fuel station, you turn the bike off, and you get back on the bike after you've powered it off, and you can't get the frickin' radio and your phone to work properly, and you're fighting how to get the sound back through the speakers. It's the worst. I went to my headset in my showy, I've got a really nice headset in here. I just went to listen to my music, but then later in the day, when I started the bike back up, it populates again. It's just how the technology in these things, and about drive you nutty. The Indian Elite's for sale. I've already put it out there on Marketplace. Anybody interested in buying this, I'm selling it. I just really think I'm moving on from Indian, and I've had my day with them, but I just love the Harley product. I'm more than ever now. I'm promoting over all these multi-brand motorcycles. I would tell somebody, for the fun factor, the Harley-Davidson is more fun riding than the Challenger. Challenger is such a refined, incredible, nice motorcycle, but this motorcycle here, the new platform, I've said it a gazillion times, it is so much fun to ride. It is just a blast. It's just a different animal. And the exhaust on this is just so nice. I mean, it's just incredible. It's like driving these cars here. It's just a whole different ride, but for a fine person, this is your borderline BMW motorcycle. Borderline. As far as just the way it feels and rides, this is just more of your muscle bike, which I've talked about that numerous times over and over again. The kid just loves her Lowrider ST. So for me, anybody said Chief, I'd be like, nope, get the Lowrider. Anybody said Challenger, it's like, nope, get the Road Glide. I mean, and here's the thing. It does look like the 2024 touring bikes, the Street Glide CVO model line, is probably going to that style, the new updated bike. I would trade my Indian Pursuit or even my Indian Challenger for a brand new limited refresh 24 model all day long. I would part with the Indian heartbeat. So the Indian, even though I got the Indian rugs, I have so much Indian stuff, but right now I'm just kind of I'm just not happy. And so anyways, and then here's the Triumph multi-brand product. Triumph is a very strong brand. I never really realized this, But Triumph is the sleeper of sales of a lot of these dealerships. Triumph is a worldwide recognized product. And this, I'm just telling you, you realize or not, in this country, people buy these things all the time. Not this rocket, but the Triumph brand is a very well-known brand product in this country. It just doesn't get that attention like the Honda does or the Harley does. So, all right, let's get up here and kind of get the morning conversations of the multi-brand. Yeah, am I a multi-brand guy? Yeah. And I should say, you know, what in that aspect, and I'll just stay here for a second as I do my morning talk. You know, what drives us to the different brands? And for me, what is it that makes you pick one brand over another? Because I know people that think these Dodge cars are the biggest piece of junk in the world. There are people that comment on my YouTube channel all the time that these things are a waste of money, they're junk, they're tanks. I'm like, do you actually own these? The Ford product. You'll have people found on road dead, fix or repair daily. So you just have some people just totally hate the words hate. They do not like the brand. And then you have the other people who just love their Jeep. I mean, they're just in love with their Jeep. Or you have the person that loves their Chevy. Or they love their Toyota. Or the person just loves their Mustang. Or loves their Camaro. And they'd never own anything besides, a Chevy product. Or, I mean, it's just what person, what drove that person to like that brand. And the only thing I can really think of, it was they had a great experience with the brand from the get-go. Because I've heard many stories of people buying a certain brand car, and their first experience was junk. And so they have in their brain forever that whole brand of line of vehicles is junk, and they'll never ever buy that product again. Versus the person that buys the vehicle that treated them well and was reliable and was a nice car, then they're married to Indian. Or anybody Indian rep is watching my channel, they're seeing how I'm now just totally going away from the Indian brand just because I think that Harley Davidson is bringing a better product. I just think Harley's stepping it up. And yeah, I mean, Harley has problems. I'm not no fool to that. Let's get up here with the dogs and keep the multi-brand conversations going on what come on, Tank. Let's get up there. You look awful comfortable on those stairs. Could you sit on those stairs like that? Yeah, could you do that? And here we are. It's nice out. It's actually really kind of warm out, but it's supposed to get colder as the day progresses. Yeah, if you went through that box, you'd see all the different brands of cars and trucks and motorcycles and boats and all that type of stuff that I've owned. And down here, crouch down now and take the seat and get the, geez. Yeah, for me, I'm amazed I'm just not exhausted because I worked all weekend long. And then at the last second yesterday, the kid hasn't ridden her motorcycle in ages. So I was like, let's go ride. One thing you learn about riding motorcycles is if you don't stay riding, you're making a huge mistake. Especially as you get older, you have to keep riding your motorcycle because you just lose being in touch with that machine. And that's what it's all about. That's why I constantly want to ride motorcycles at my age in life, because it makes you a better rider and it keeps you a good rider. If you don't ride on a regular basis, you're kidding yourself. And that's the thing about me. One challenge for me is I'm on and off different brand motorcycles. So in some aspects, it's to my disadvantage because I'm not really getting in tune with, let's say, the Harley Davidson Road Glide CVO because I'm not on that bike enough. I'm then riding my Triumph Rocket R, or I'm riding my Honda Goldwing, or and that's the kick. That's the trick to being really good on a motorcycle is you just totally understand the bike and you're so in touch with it. So, sorry for drinking my coffee while I talk, but I got to get my coffee. I got to get the morning going. So, the multi-brand products. So the reason I bring up Mr. Sanchez again is what I thought to myself was, he likes the Harley Davidson brand. And his position is that that Indian motorcycle should have been fixed like ASAP. He feels like there's some things that those mechanics are clueless to do, and they're not. This is in the comments section, so you can see that if you want to follow my channel or watch my channel, of what he's saying, and he makes some good points. And that's why I like to share his ideas as well. And he's come to closure that the Indian mechanics just don't know what they're doing, that they're not abreast to how to properly go through the tasks to fix that Pursuit's front steering issue. And my stance is let Indian tell the dealership what to do, because at the end of the day, if they can't fix it and the dealership went through the things that Indian told them to do, they're going to have to buy that motorcycle back. And I would just rather have them buy the. At this point right now, I just rather them to buy the bike back. So I hope the dealership can't figure it out. In all reality, they're on point. Good. Let Indian be a bunch of numbnuts and not know how to fix the bike and just buy it back. I don't want it. I'm moving on. I'd rather have a Harley Davidson touring model. And so I'd rather have the Honda Goldwing brand new colors 2024 Goldwing. In fact, that's on my list. The new Honda Goldwing 2024 models, tour models, airbag edition, which I really like, is hitting the market, apparently hitting dealers in November. Yikes. Yeah, and they get some really cool colors I really like. So I may end up getting a nice Honda Goldwing tour, but at the same time, I still want to get a nice Harley Davidson touring model eventually at some point, which I'll probably now go to next year, just sit it out and see what 2024 brings. So going back to Mr. Sanchez, the point is what I just spoke about is if you look at the Indian product line in the marketplace, how many Indian motorcycles are in the marketplace? You look at the Harley Davidson product that's in the market, it's huge. It's overwhelming. I mean, there's so many Harley Davidson motorcycles. So what does that mean? That means at the service end at these Harley dealerships have pretty routine maintenance on these bikes. And some people are like, yeah, because the Harley Davidsons are junk and you got to fix them all the time. It's like, yeah, I hear these conversations all the time on my YouTube channel. It's like, hey, why do you think? So you think all Harley Davidson motorcycles fall apart? It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many people who have Harley Davidson motorcycles that have 30, 40, 50, 80, 100,000 miles on them. I mean, yeah, they've had to do maintenance and repairs. Yeah. But overall, I mean, Harley Davidson, for the most part, is a true and tried brand. And how many do you see sitting on the side of the road? I mean, and that's the other thing that you have to think about, too, is if you're going to buy Indian, that's been a big challenge, is where's the servicing dealer infrastructure? And that person will say, well, the Indians are so much more reliable, they don't need the dealership infrastructure. Okay, well, all right, whatever, that's fine. So as far as the servicing goes, for Harley, as I just said, they've got a more stable, more staffed, more experienced personnel to address the challenges of maintaining these motorcycles. And what's interesting here is I read a whole article this morning that kind of goes with all this type of multi-brand conversations, is the automotive industry has had challenges because of the pandemic. The automotive industry now has had challenges because of UAW. And for the record, I'm sure many are abreast of what's going on, but if you're not, right now, Ford and Stellantis have come to an agreement tentatively to sign on the new UAW guidelines of what they feel is fair to their union workers. So Ford and Stellantis, for the most part now, are supposedly have the labor force back online to start doing what they did before, but getting better compensation. General Motors is still him and hawing, and at the last second, Shawn Fain told in Tennessee an SUV plant to walk off the line here like on Saturday night or Sunday morning. So GM's still kind of him and hawing, but you just know that the other two have catered to him, and GMs are probably having but no choice just to follow the same thing. I don't know how they're going to escape that. It's like you going to buy a car, and the dealer 20 miles away is selling the car for $50,000. The dealership you're at's wanting $55,000, exact same car. If you're the GM of the car dealership, and it's a fact the car is $50,000 at our dealership, you're going to have to cave and sell it for $50,000, or you just or let the deal go and not sell the car. But the other dealership has a bunch of them. you're not getting anywhere. So GMs have no choice but to cave the UAW. So, but the point of that is in the back end, the profits. This is what the article was very interesting on how it was phrased, which intrigued me to read the article. And it was about how the car dealers haven't suffered from the UAW. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know about that. I've been preaching this over and over again that if the UAW strikes long enough, it's going to turn into the shortage of new cars, and it goes back to the margins will then be higher for the car sales because of the lesser choices for the consumer. And you have no choice to be so lucky to get this car because they're not building anymore because of the strike. Well, as we know, the UAW strike is over, so that really didn't happen. But in some aspects, it did happen a little bit because they're showing Asbury Automotive Group. Another one's called, I can't think of the name right now, but there's three, like AutoNation, and another one that's the bigger conglomerate of the multi-brand dealerships throughout this country. And so they use those like three different business models of these automotive groups. What's really interesting is Asbury Automotive Group, which I brought up last week, is now owns the Koons Automotive organization. So Koons technically I'm sure, I don't know if it's going to continue to be named Koons or not, but I would guess. But Asbury Automotive, but they're actually smaller than the other two I just mentioned, the other one I just mentioned. So there's three of them, big guys, that have the whole, conglomerate of tons of dealerships, multi-brand, different brands. And so it's talking about how during the UAW strike over the last 6 weeks, the dealerships actually were able to kind of still keep decent margins on the cars because of the UAW strike in some ways. But in other ways, this is something that I really haven't focused on a lot. But the parts and service end took somewhat of a hit because the UAW walked off of many parts distribution facilities, and that's a huge part of the business. And that's a business model that I built so many years ago when I tried to start a lawn and garden equipment dealership. I based it off of the service end. And whether you realize it or not, for the most part, dealerships' profit center typically is the service side and parts. That's typically where the business infrastructure makes the business pay the bills. I mean, that's just a known fact. But I kind of forgot about that because we've all been so focused on the sales of cars. And that's the main thing that you always hear is the sale of cars, the profits of cars. And it's interesting how the pandemic, in so many ways, rewrote that whole business model for the car dealership infrastructure. And what I mean by that is, years ago, the most common saying of new car dealerships was, we sell new cars to get used cars. Because typically, a dealership can make more money out of a used car than a new car, because if they bring in a used vehicle, that used vehicle typically is now 2-3 model years old or maybe a little older. And that vehicle is not a dominant same vehicle in the marketplace. So the dealership can then price it, and it's more challenging for the consumer to be able to compare that exact same used car within 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 miles from a person's house. So the dealerships make more money on used cars because they don't have the competition. New cars, it's a no-brainer. They've got the same freaking model, a gazillion of them, every dealership in your local area, so you can price shop and beat up the dealership. So, pre-pandemic, that was more of the business model of the auto industry. That's my own perception. I'm an automotive guy that has a car dealership. Can maybe correct me on this, but that was my perception. And the real money was in the back end of the service end of people being billed $100+ an hour for labor on a vehicle. And the running joke is, in the service side, is the book will say it takes 3 hours and a good mechanic knocks it out in an hour and a half or 2 hours. So for the overhead, they bill out 3 hours work, but they only pay the mechanic an hour and a half or 2 hours time, whatever it may be. And that's where you start making a lot of money because you're billing out a lot of hours for labor, but you're not actually billing out a lot of your internal costs on the labor because you're offsetting it of a very lean, mean machine. And that's, if you have a really good service department, guys know you can make a good amount of money. So the point of this is that the service end and parts end would pay the bills for the payroll, pay the rent for the building, pay the maintenance. That whole business model would carry the business whether you sold a car or not. And then the car side was more about the profit center for just, okay, the service and parts, they carry the dealership, but now here's a profit center to reward the salespeople, the management, the owner of the dealership. And that was typically really kind of the focal point. But the pandemic changed all that. And that's why the UAW thing kind of changed it again recently, is the parts distribution totally got goofed up during the pandemic. So the service end and parts didn't have the same volume for that profit center. So the car dealerships, think this through. You and I are part of the problem, especially me, since I buy cars all the damn time. But the car automotive side figured out very quickly that the consumers would pay more money for be so lucky to get a car. And that turned that into a bigger profit center for the new car sales that typically the car business didn't see, because they totally lost that whole service, parts, and profit center, and they had to rely now on the new car sales. So the new car sales turned into charging more, and they saw that people would pay the higher prices. And so that's my own personal perception, is that during the pandemic, the car industry revamped itself from new car sales not being much of a profit center to the new car sales being a huge profit center. And so now what they're saying in this conversation is the car dealers in some ways saw a decrease in their service and parts end because they weren't getting the parts they needed to service vehicles. So that's what kind of had the hit on the car dealers. But on the new car sales side, they had healthy inventories because of the production was revamped up and really helped make it so people had a lot more options, and the dealerships had a healthier inventory. But I'm telling you, if you look around now, you just have to scratch your head. And the UAW, I mean, oh my gosh, you just think to yourself, I mean, how much longer does this just incredibly expensive cars, last? I mean, but you read these different reports, and they're just saying we just live in different times. We live in different times society where the wealth factor is huge. I think so many people, the gloomer doomers on these YouTube channels, want to predict that everything's going to go south, everybody's going to be out of money. It just isn't playing out. It is not playing out. People thought in 2022 we'd see a slowdown going into 2023. For the most part, it just isn't really happening in a dramatic way. So, wow, right? It's all about the conversation. My videos are really long, I know that. So I need to really have more like 30-minute conversations. I think people probably think the 40-minute conversation probably gets just a little too long, and just so much information to share, and wow, on all the things going on around us. If you look around what's going all around us, oh my gosh, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, are we borderline living in chaos? I mean, Jesus Christ. Is it just depressing to turn on the news and to see what's going on around us? I mean, it's beyond unbelievable. And I try to keep my channel off all that content. What good is that? You can go watch the news, see all that baloney. So it's all about the multi-brand. And I wonder for each person here, watch my channel. So I wonder what each person's favorite brand is. Some people reach out to me a lot, like, well, what's your favorite car? And for me, it's very challenging. For me, I'm on a stage where the one manufacturing is making such a good product, but then as time progresses, another manufacturer brings something better. And so it's hard for me to be a loyal branded person just to one product all the time, because I just start to feel like somebody else is doing better. But for the most part, if you kind of look at the history of my channel and who I really am, it's really more of the Ram, Dodge, Jeep. I've been very loyal to for many, many years now, especially the Ram trucks. Wasn't Ford much at all. It's really only been Ford like the last 5-6 years. So, and Toyota was my favorite growing up. But now Toyota's like, I'm just not excited about the Toyota as much as I used to be. Why is that, right? So anyways, leave it at that. So everybody, hey, multi-brand, this was dedicated to Mr. Sanchez because he brought up, I think, a good point. And just as I explained, I think that's the challenge of these multi-brand dealers is what personnel do they have in the background to help support the products that they sell. And that's a huge challenge. So, anyways, thanks for watching my channel. Stay tuned. What am I doing next? I don't know. Well, here's the thing. If I have to bring that up, is my Ford Mustang GT is at Koons Buckler Ford being taken apart today. So this is an exciting day. And the Ram TRX, the local dealer is so badly wanting me to buy this Ram TRX truck. Yeah. Does that play out? Yeah. I mean, actually, there are some things going on behind the scenes. But let's just leave it at that. Just watch my channel and stay tuned for more adventures. But the Ford Mustang, wow. I'm really excited to see how that all plays. Part of me is like, why don't I just put a supercharger on it as well? I mean, I'm not lying. I got to thinking about that yesterday. It's like, why would I just supercharge things at the dealership? Just go ahead and cross the bridge, man. And there's my own personal dark horse, right? I mean, even badder ass than the dark horse. Wow. And yeah, do I get the Ram TRX? If I pulled off the Ram TRX deal, oh my gosh, that would be insane. Only because I would have 3 Hellcat motors in my garage. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Not at all. So, hey, everybody, have a great day. God bless. Stay safe. It's not comforting what's going on around us. So, God bless everybody. I think everybody needs to start praying for a miracle. Everybody needs to start praying for a miracle. I mean, it's not good. All right, everybody, have a great day. Stay tuned.